In this introduction video, I am going to talk about resizing your image so that you can use it in your presentation layout or whatever you're doing, or maybe you're resizing it so that you can send it out to a printer, or maybe you're resizing it so that you want it in your web page. So what you want to do is you want to navigate to your project folder and go to the module 1 basic fundamentals, and let's just kind of drag in an image here called resize JPEG. And here we go, bring it in, and it is still kind of yellow. I'm going to go to my view. I don't know why it does that, but whatever. So anyhow, if you look at this image, this is actually an 18-inch, and you can see it up here, 18 inches by 12 inches. And you could also see down here, if you click on that, you'll see that is 18 inches by 12 inches. And it is 100 pixels per inch. So for every inch by inch, there's 100 pixels in there. And here I'm going to kind of exaggerate and go in here. And these things are called pixels. So you got this, what is that? 100 is 10 by 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And 10, that's 100 pixels, right? And so obviously the more pixels that you have, the better your image quality. One thing that I need you guys to be mindful of is that if you start with a poor resolution image, and just by making your resolution, let's say like, 10,000 pixels per inch, doesn't quite necessarily make your image better. So if you have a poor resolution image, you can't necessarily make it better. You could enhance it to a certain degree, but it's not going to get that much better. So what I recommend always is that when you're shooting your photograph, always shoot at the highest resolution possible, because you could always bring down your resolution in Photoshop, but it's not so easy to make a poor image better. So that's something for you guys to be very mindful of. And to change images, you will be going into image, image size, and then you could change this thing and change your resolution. So let's just kind of assume that you guys are setting up for your portfolio. On your portfolio, you probably want your resolution to be about 300, because when you go to print, you want a fairly high resolution. I think on prior videos I said don't bother, go to 150. But these days with better inkjet printers and better computers, you can probably still use 300 pixels per inch, and it shouldn't slow you down a whole lot. So a couple of things to be mindful of. If you see by my image size here is 6 megabytes, but if I increase my resolution to 300, you're going to see this number shoot up to 55 megabytes, because now my image is still 18 inches wide, but instead of having 100 pixels per inch, I'm going to have 300 pixels per inch. So my image technically got a little bit smoother, but my image size just blew up. And the reality is I'm probably never going to print this particular image as an 18-inch poster. It's probably going to be a little 6x4 or something like that. So what you want to do is you want to click resample image here, which now reduces, it matches your width and height to the resolution you want. So you're basically telling Photoshop, hey, I want it at 300 resolution per inch. Don't resample it, and it'll automatically reduce it to the size that is what it's supposed to be natively. But of course you can always tweak it by resampling image, but in a sense that's somewhat cheating, and I would definitely resample it downwards, but I wouldn't necessarily resample it upwards. Anyhow, so you just click OK, and there you go. So my image now is actually a 6 inches by 4 inches. So if I were to send this out to printer, that will actually be printed in real scale, which will be 6 inches by 4 inches. And the resolution will be actually pretty tight and nice. Another basic skill set that I need you guys to get familiar with is kind of cropping and straightening an image if you took the photo and it's kind of off angled. So you can take this crop straighten JPEG, and if you drop it in this window, it'll actually add to this file, which I don't want you to do. So drag it into this toolbar up here and grab it. It'll create another, it'll create another file here. So now we're going to just crop this image. And so the crop tool is this guy right here, which is 2 little brackets. And if you pay attention to this options bar, there's this delete crop pixels by default. And what that means is that once I crop it, any pixels that's not part of that image will just be deleted and gone. I personally like that because if I don't delete it, Photoshop's going to try to remember that, and it's going to be slower. And as you get to more complex images and do heavy duty editing, you're going to see that your file sizes are going to be quite large. So you don't want to have to carry these unnecessary pixels. But you can choose to check that off, so you'll see when I crop it, to whatever size I want this image to be. And then if I go to my crop tool again and I start moving it, those images will come back. So it's basically the Photoshop's remembering all of these peripheral images that you wanted to cut away. I personally do not like doing that because it's gonna slow you down on your file. And let me see, oops, I'm rotating it right now. And so another thing to crop is, the reason why you want to crop is maybe you don't want to see all these extra images. You just want to really focus on that and then maybe some basic background. So maybe I don't want to see that, but I don't mind that as much, and I don't want to see any of this. Bring that up. And you can see also this table slightly skewed. And so, of course, you can rotate it later after you crop it, but within the crop tool, there is this function called straighten. And what you do is you click that, and you click and drag a line that you want to straighten. So you're saying, hey, I want this board that's at this particular angle, and I want it to be straight. So once I let it go, you're going to see this thing rotate, and then now that those pixels are straightened. So if I like this particular crop, I can double click on the window or hit this checkbox. So that's your basic cropping your image so that you don't see the stuff that you don't want to see, resizing your image, and straightening it at the same time.